Good afternoon, 8th graders. Today we'll be talking about solving equations and creating equations that have two steps. We've done one step so far, and today we're going to go on to talking about two-step equations. I wrote up here the idea that the word is in these problems will always become the equal sign. You could also think of like was, but typically you would see is. Is becomes an equal sign. The other thing is the word of. The word of becomes multiplication. So these are two key things that you might not already know or you may not remember, but make sure you write this down and we'll be using those. You also have to remember things like product means multiplication, sum means addition, those sorts of things. Let's assume that you remember that stuff. Alright, number one. The directions are to create an algebraic equation. So we're going to have to look at this and think about, first off, let's make an expression from what they give us. So 5 added to the product of 6 and a quantity. A quantity just means an amount. That's the thing we don't know. We don't know quantity. So that's going to be our variable. And we're going to, first off, 5 added should be pretty simple. 5 plus 5 added. Now, the product means we're going to multiply. So multiplication between 6 and that quantity. So multiplication between 6 and the variable. Now, like I said, the word is, that means an equal sign. So we're going to take is, and instead of the word is, we're going to put an equal sign. And then it says 29, so we put 29. So that's on our equation. The directions then say to solve it, so we don't have to solve it. Number 2, 5 less than 2/3 of an amount is 7. Okay, so just to start off with what it says before the word is. An amount is going to be the variable. That's the thing we don't know. 5 less than is tricky. So 5 less than, we're going to have to subtract 5. So whatever this is on the left here, we're taking away 5 from it. And 2/3 of. So 2/3, like I just said, it's written right above it. The word of means multiply. So 2/3 of an amount. So X represents an amount. We don't know it, whatever that amount is. So 2/3 times that amount. Now the word is, that becomes the equal sign. And then 7. And this, again, the directions were just to create it, so we don't have to do anything else. Okay, now the directions say create the equation, but also solve it. So once we create it, we're going to solve it. Now the thing we don't know here is the word a quantity. So I'm going to underline that. And we start off by saying the difference of a quantity and 5. Difference means subtraction. So I'm going to do x minus 5. Now, the next thing it says is this thing divided by 2. We have to make sure we always put sums and differences in parentheses. So the difference, this thing in parentheses, divided by 2. Now, the word is, that becomes the equal sign, 6. Now we need to solve it. So again, to solve, we reverse what's with the variable. So what's with the variable is subtraction and division. The thing that's further away, we reverse that first. We go in backwards order. So we want to get rid of division. To get rid of division, we multiply. This cancels out. We'll be left with x minus 5 equals 12. Again, we want to reverse the addition, so we add. This cancels out. We get x equals 17. And we could check it. So the difference of 17 and 5, that's going to be 12. 12 divided by 2, that is 6. So you know we're right. 4 you're going to do on your own. Um, Now we're going to get into scenarios, so like a real world situation. This one involves Maya. Maya went to the movies, she went with some friends, and when you go to the movies, you have to buy the tickets, right, to get in, unless you sneak in. But we're assuming Maya and her friends aren't going to sneak in, they're actually going to buy the tickets. Each of the tickets costs $6.50. They also spent $17.50 on snacks. Now, the total amount they paid was 63. You're supposed to write an equation that will tell you how many people went to the movies. So Maya and all her friends. So that's the thing we don't know. We don't know how many people went to the movies. So that's going to be our x. Now, in this situation, you kind of have to think about what's going on. Every person will pay $6.50. So think about it. Make up an amount. That will help you. 8 people. If 8 people go, what's going to happen here? They're going to have to each pay $6.50. 8 times 6.50. So that's going to be our first thing. We're going to have a multiplication times how many people went, because that's what you would do. You would do how many people went times $6.50. Now, they also spent a total. So they each didn't spend it. This is just in total. So maybe that should have been said in total. So they spent in total $17.50 on snacks. So if you have this much for every person, and that adds up to whatever it is for the cost of the tickets, then you also add on the total of the snacks. Now, the reason we didn't do multiplying by x is because not each person paid that. That was what everybody paid in total. So that's like the constant. It's a constant amount. Now we know in total this equals $63. Okay, so we have our equation here. We are supposed to solve it, so let's go through that. The thing further away from x was the addition, so we get rid of that by subtracting. I don't know if I'm going to have enough room here. So that's going to get me $45.50. Now I'm going to rewrite this equation up here. So 6.5x, that 0 can go away. It's 45 and 5/10. Now we need to divide to get rid of multiplication. It's getting a little messy. And 45.5 divided by 6.5, I believe that's going to be 7. Exactly 7. So x equals 7. So what does that mean in this situation? That means that 7 people went to the movies. So how many people went? 7 people. So always answer in words. So 7 people went to the movies. They each spent $6.50. And then they all together spent $17.50 on snacks. And that should have got us $63 in total spent at the movies. Okay, now we have an example about Jason. So Jason got a gift card that cost $50. And then he went to Sports Authority and he bought a basketball. I'm sorry, some pairs of socks that cost $8 each. So he bought more than one. He needs the socks in the next game, and he also will get a $10 overnight fee because he needs them for tomorrow. They aren't in the store, so they have to mail it. Now, we're going to have to figure out the number of socks he purchased. So, now the other thing we didn't say here is we're going to assume he spent all $50. So this is going to cost him all $50 from the gift card. So every pair of sock is going to cost $8. And we don't know the number of socks. Let's assume pairs of socks. So for each pair, it costs $8. So say there's 5 pairs, or 7 pairs, right? 7 pairs times the $8 is going to be how much you would pay. So that's multiplication. We don't know how many pairs of socks there are, so 8 times however many pairs of socks there are. There's an additional $10 fee. That's constant. This is going to stay $10. And in total, he spent the $50. He spent all the gift card. Now we also need to solve it. So minus 10. So 8x equals 40. Divide by 8. Divide by 8. So x equals 5. So what this means is he bought 5 pairs of socks. Each one cost $8, so it's $40. And then he also had to pay a $10 overnight fee. Okay, on the back, you're going to do A through C on your own. And then if you want to try D, you can, but that's not something you have to do. And we'll see you tomorrow.